Hello there. I am a 70-year-old man who has experienced a fair share of life's storms. One of my biggest battles for the past 50 years has been with masturbation. It's a struggle that's been with me like a shadow, an unwelcome companion on my life's journey. It started as a harmless curiosity, a youthful exploration, but it quickly turned into an addiction, a vice that held me in its grip, a grip that I found hard to break free from. Over the years, this battle has taken a toll on me, on my life. It's left me with scars, some visible, many hidden. It's shaped me, moulded me, and not in ways I'm proud of. It's led me down paths I would have preferred not to tread. It's held me back, kept me from reaching my full potential. Today I want to share with you the 10 ways masturbation has impacted my life negatively. The first way masturbation ruined my life was through backwardness and retrogression. Picture a man, much like myself, weaving dreams and aspirations, only to find that his progress has slowed down to a crawl. This habit, this insidious addiction, it has a way of anchoring you to the past, keeping you from moving forward. I found myself constantly dreaming not of a bright and promising future, but of being trapped in my old apartment, a symbol of my stagnation. Each dream was a stark reminder of the life I was leading, a life where growth was stunted, where potential was left untapped, where progress was a mere illusion. It was as if my life had become a broken record, playing the same old tune over and over again with no hope of changing the track. This backwardness, this retrogression, it was a product of my addiction. Masturbation kept me stuck in the past, unable to move forward in life. The second major impact was my inability to go into a relationship or get married. For years I yearned for the companionship and deep connection that comes with a meaningful relationship. Yet, my addiction to masturbation created a barrier that seemed insurmountable. You see, relationships require emotional vulnerability, the ability to open up to another person, to share experiences, to connect on a deep level. But my addiction, it was like a wall, a barrier, preventing me from forming these connections. I was there physically, but emotionally, I was a million miles away. This inability to connect, to be vulnerable, it kept me from experiencing the joys of companionship. I found myself stuck in a cycle of loneliness and isolation, my addiction feeding my solitude, and my solitude feeding my addiction. It was a vicious cycle, one that took years to break. And so I found myself alone, unable to maintain meaningful relationships. My addiction robbed me of the joy and fulfillment that comes from loving relationships. Another way masturbation affected me negatively was by eroding my self-confidence. You see, self-confidence is like a muscle. It needs to be exercised, nurtured and grown. But my addiction was like a heavy weight, constantly pulling it down, preventing it from flourishing. I found myself doubting my abilities, questioning my worth, and shying away from opportunities that could have led to personal growth and success. The more I succumbed to this habit, the more my self-confidence dwindled. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The less confident I felt, the more I turned to masturbation for comfort, and the cycle repeated. Interactions with others became more difficult as well. I was always second-guessing myself, fearing judgment, fearing rejection. This fear, this lack of confidence, it held me back. It kept me from reaching my potential, from achieving my goals. I was trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and low self-esteem, all stemming from my addiction to masturbation. Masturbation also led to financial instability. The addiction was not only time-consuming, but it also held me back from reaching my full potential in my career. My performance at work began to suffer, as my focus and energy were constantly being drained. I was stuck in a cycle of short-term gratification that blinded me from long-term prosperity. Promotions became a distant dream, and my earning capacity was stunted. Furthermore, the addiction led me to make poor financial choices. I found myself spending money on instant gratifications rather than investing in my future. The lure of transient pleasure overshadowed the importance of financial security. I was stuck in a financial rut, with my savings dwindling and no substantial growth in sight. The cost of this addiction was not just monetary, it was an investment of time, energy and potential that I was never going to get back. My addiction was a costly expense, both literally and metaphorically. Physical health problems were another consequence of my addiction. You see, the body isn't designed for constant self-pleasure. It needs balance, rest and recovery. My addiction led to a myriad of health issues, some subtle, others more severe. It started with fatigue, a constant feeling of being drained both physically and mentally. The more I indulged in the act, the weaker my body felt. I was constantly tired, unable to perform even the simplest tasks without feeling exhausted. Then came the more alarming signs. I started experiencing severe back pain, eye strain and hair loss. My immune system weakened and I found myself falling sick more often than not. The act that was supposed to bring pleasure was slowly turning into a nightmare as my health deteriorated with each passing day. The impact was not just physical, but also psychological. Anxiety, depression and mood swings became my constant companions. Masturbation had a negative impact on my physical health, compromising my overall well-being. Emotional turmoil was a constant companion in my journey with masturbation. I was living on a roller coaster of emotions. One day I was up, elated, basking in the temporary pleasure. The next I was down, drowning in the depths of guilt and shame. It was a cycle of highs and lows, but the lows were always deeper, darker and longer lasting. Depression and anxiety became my unwanted house guests. They would sneak up on me in the quiet of the night or in the middle of a crowded room. Depression, like a heavy fog, would cloud my thoughts, while anxiety would set my heart racing, my palms sweating, my mind spinning. I was never at peace. Even in the happiest of moments there was always a nagging feeling, a whisper of guilt, a shadow of shame. It was as if I was living my life on the edge of a cliff, constantly fearing the fall. I was caught in an emotional storm, all because of my addiction.